Hi, my name is Darrin Lythgoe. I'm the author of The Next Generation of Genealogy Site Building, or TNG. Today I'm going to be installing the full version of TNG 14. Okay, after you've purchased the program, you should receive an email that includes a URL and a login for the TNG 14 downloads page. And once you click on that and enter the login, it should look something like this. This is the TNG 14 downloads page. Near the top in the full version section, look for a link right here. It's that you would click on to download the file. Here in the description, just note this is the full version, not an update. So make sure you're downloading the right thing. It comes in zip format, so you'll need to extract it on your computer. And then look for the readme.html file. That will contain the installation instructions, so you'll want to open that in a web browser to continue from that point. So you just start by clicking the link. You can see that it downloads. It's downloading. By the way, I'm using Chrome on a Mac, but this should work on any operating system and any browser you'd like. So once it's downloaded, you can see I can then show it in the Finder in my downloads folder. If you've got a program like WinZip or another extraction program, you can use that to extract the files to a new folder somewhere. Most operating systems now will let you just double click on that. That will extract it to a new folder. I've already done that, so I'm going to go find where I left the files. Here we go. Alright, so I'm going to look for that readme.html file. Here it is. I double click that. Notice it opened right in my browser. So, important, this is the full installation. Again, if you got here expecting to see an upgrade, you're in the wrong place. So you don't want to install the full version on top of an existing version because you'll lose your data and your customizations, so don't do that. Alright, so first off, don't forget to complete these steps in order. You can stop and come back later if you do. No need to go over the steps you already done. Just start again where you left off. Okay. First step is to upload or copy all the files and folders from the zip file to the place on your website where you want to run TNG. Now, if you want your domain name to point directly to your TNG installation, then you need to put the files and folders in your root folder on your website. That might be called public HTML or www or sometimes htdocs. Just depends on your hosting provider. So look for that when you get there. As far as how to get the files up to your website, I like to use an FTP program. That stands for File Transfer Protocol. I like that because it lets you upload all the files and folders in a single batch. You can also upload using the file manager on your control panels, on your hosting provider's control panel. But in many cases, that will only let you upload one or a handful of files at a time, so that can get tedious. Anyway, the FTP program that I like to recommend is one called FileZilla because it's free. You could just go do a web search for FileZilla, download the client version and install that on your computer. You can get it for either Mac or Windows. Once you've opened it, it'll look something like this. Your hosting provider will give you the connection information you'll need, which includes the host name, usually just your domain name, like lythgoes.net, and a username and password, sometimes a port number, but usually not. You can just type all that right up here and hit quick connect to get to your website. Or if you know you're going to be coming in a lot, which is usually the case, go up here in the left corner and click on the site manager icon. Here you can use this button to create a new site and then enter your information and FileZilla will remember it for you. So here I've entered my host name, lythgoes.net, my username and the password. There might also be an encryption format that you need to choose, and the protocol. Sometimes, it's SFTP or other. When you've got all that in, you can just click OK to save, or click Connect to connect to your website. So let's do that. And now you can see over here on the right, these are the files on my website, while over on the left, these are the files and folders on my home computer. So let's find the public HTML folder on my site. There it is. So everything that is visible on the web is going to be in that folder. That's where I want to put my TNG installation. So double click to go in there. And I've already designated a new folder, tutorial, to hold the files. And I've already, in fact, double click on that, uploaded them all, save a little time here. But if you hadn't uploaded them, then the next step would be to find your TNG files on the left side on your computer. And here, I put them in the production 14 folder, and so here they are, all the files. And you can just grab one and drag that over and upload it if you want, or use your shift key to select multiple, or use your command or control key to select various items. Or you can just use the command or control key and then the letter A to select everything. That's probably the easiest thing. You can just drag and drop everything all at once over to the other side. Now that everything is uploaded, the next step, and let's go back to our instructions. Okay, so if you were viewing this guide on your home computer, now you have to close the page and run it from your website instead. Use a browser, not an FTP program. That's because a lot of people get confused, and while they're here in the FTP program, they see the README file, and they might want to double click on it here, or maybe they've just done what I did and double clicked on it from their home computer. And when you do that, you get the page opening as a file. You can tell it says file up there in the address bar. And if you try and run the various utilities from here, it's not going to work. So the next step is to instead open this page from your website. Now I know that I uploaded it to the tutorial folder on my website, so I'm just going to type my URL. With the readme.html on the end and return. There it is. It looks like nothing has changed, but now you can see up on in the upper left that it's got my domain name and a little secure lock to indicate that I'm viewing this securely on my website. Okay, so we're ready to go. On to step 3. This is called set permissions. So there are some files and folders in TNG that need to be made writable, which just means that the program needs to be able to change things in those files or folders from time to time. So all you have to do at this point is just click on the Set Permissions step button, and voila, all the permissions have been set. That's pretty easy. Okay, on to step 4. There are a couple folders included in the installation called Backups for you to make backups in, and GEDCOM, where you want to upload a GEDCOM file from. But since these are the same in every TNG installation, and since there are people with malicious intentions out there, it's probably a good idea to rename those folders so that they don't know where to look. Make it a little bit harder for them. So you can rename this to anything you want, or even just put a few letters on the end of it, whatever you think, and then hit rename folder. Rename folder. Okay, so now we've got folders with those names. Just make sure you remember that's what you named your backups folder or your GEDCOM folder. Okay, and also if you come back in later and run the permissions step again after having renamed the folders, you may get a message here that says that the backups and or the GEDCOM folder couldn't be renamed. That's because we couldn't set the permissions on them, and that's because you changed the names. So if you see that, don't worry, it's already been taken care of. Okay, let's skip down to step 5. choose your language and character set. All right, so if English is the primary language you want for your website, you're good to go right there. Just click the Save button. If you want your initial language or primary language on your site to be something else, you can select from one of these many options. Take note that most of these languages have both a UTF-8 option and an ISO 8859-1 option, sometimes called ANSI. I would highly recommend the UTF-8 option, especially if your language makes use of special characters, accents, umlauts, anything like that. The ISO option is still there for people whose desktop program may not support UTF-8, but in most cases the UTF-8 option is what you want. So choose one of those and then click Save. That saves your primary language. Okay, now the trickiest part for most people is step 6, which is establishing a connection to your database. So your web host may have already done this for you, and in that case would just give you the credentials, but most times they will want you to create the database yourself. And you can do that from your hosting control panel. Here's all the information you'll need: the database name, username, password. Sometimes there'll be a port and a socket, and if your site needs that, you'll know. For everyone else, you can ignore that. Okay, so I'm going to flip over to my hosting control panel, or cPanel as it's commonly called. Most of them look like this. Some are different, some are actually a different brand other than cPanel. But in most cases, there's an area called My SQL Databases. So find that and click there. Now you'll get a chance to create a new database. And you'll see that most times it comes with a prefix. So whatever you type here, it's going to have Lythgoe's underscore in front of it. So let's call this tutorial. That'll be my database name. So I click Create Database. So, all right, the database Lythgoe's underscore tutorial has been added. Let's go back. The next step is to add a database user. So I'm going to flip down below all my existing databases to this section that talks about the users. I'm going to give it a different name here. Let's call it tutorial user. And for the password, I could generate a password if I'm not sure. That'll give me something super strong. Or like I can just type like, this is my password. Oh, that's kind of weak, huh? All right. 1, 2, 3, exclamation point. That's better. This is my password. 1, 2, 3, exclamation point. They match. All right, so let's create that user. I don't want to save that. Let's go back. All right, now that we have a database and a user, the very important last step is to add the user to the database. So here in this section at the bottom, I'm going to select this new database that I made. Oh, this is the user, sorry. Select the user, and here's the database. And I just say add. And in this point, it will give you a bunch of permissions that you can grant to your user over the database. We will want all privileges. So if you see a button like this at the top that says all privileges, check that box. And most of the time that'll check all the boxes for you. If not, just make sure they're all checked, then come down and save those changes. Okay, all done. Now we're ready to go back to our installation instructions and enter that information. I didn't say anything about the host name yet. Most of the time that's just localhost. So if you don't hear anything or see anything different, just keep it as localhost. Most of the time, if your host has a different host name they want you to use, they'll tell you at the point where you set up your database. Okay, so my database was Lythgoe's tutorial, And my database name was Lythgoe's tutorial user. My password was this is my password 123 exclamation point. This will all be deleted by the time you watch this, by the way, so I'm not worried that you know it. And again, I'm leaving the port and the socket empty. And then I'll just click Save and Verify. Woohoo! Now, if you had seen a red message here saying that the connection didn't happen, then you know that at least one of these items up here was incorrect. And make sure you haven't put any spaces on the end or the beginning. Make sure everything is the correct case. If I had said this is my password, uppercase P, that would be important. So make sure that's all correct. Okay. So if you get the green message, you're good to move on. Step 7 is creating the database tables. Tables are where we keep all the people, families, children, events, all the information that goes into your family history. It's all stored in those database tables. So up here we had an empty database, and now we need to create tables within that. Okay, so here you have some options. Right now it's just going to put TNG underscore in front of all the tables. You could change that to something else if you want. Otherwise, just keep it. It's easy to know which tables are from TNG. The other option here is a database collation. Again, this has to do with special characters or sorting within your language. If you picked one of the UTF-8 language files, then the UTF-8 general case-insensitive collation might be the best for you. But if you know you need a different collation, say for a different language, then this is where you'd enter that before clicking the button. All right, once we're ready, we're going to click Save and Create. And the tables have been created. Excellent. I'm going to pick a different username. Let's call new user and new password. I should explain. This is a user account that you will be using to access your admin area within TNG. So you'll want to create a new user for yourself. At this point, hit the password again, new password, and real name, email. Okay, create the user. All right, new user's been created. So at this point you're logged in, so you can now go directly to your admin area. But if you leave and come back again to try and get into your admin area, you will need this username and password. So keep that in a safe place. Okay, step 9 is to create a tree, which, as it says there, is just a container for your genealogy. You can have as many trees in TNG as you like. Each tree, the important parts are the ID and the name. The ID is just, as it says here, a short alphanumeric string without any spaces. Don't use any special characters. You're never going to see this anywhere except for in the address bar up top. So just make sure it's short. You can keep tree 1, or you can just call it number 1 even, or ABC, whatever you want. The tree name is something you can change later if you decide that what you've entered here isn't good enough. So don't stress that too much. When you're ready, just click Create Tree. Okay, so now I have a tree, I have a user account. The only thing left is to select a template or a theme. Basically the design, the color scheme, some of the layout is defined by your template. And there are several built into TNG, actually 21 in fact, that you can pick from. Here's another page that you can go look and see what they look like. Template 21, 2019, etc. It's just brief snapshots of what the various templates look like. Again, this is easily changeable later, so just pick one for now. I'll just pick 16. I like that one. Select template. Okay. Under that, there's some other things that are useful to read, like you can read about what other settings are available, ways to customize your site, customize the pages. A lot of that can be done from the template settings in the admin panel, your TNG admin panel. And of course the Your Data section, which describes how to enter data or to import your GEDCOM file. And down the bottom, you've got just quick links to your home page and your admin menu. So if I click the home page, that's what it looks like. It's just kind of empty right now. I can go back, click the admin menu. You see I'm already logged in. At this point, if I log out as new user, then I have to log back in again later. And you can see I have one tree already, the one I created during my installation instructions. I have one user account. I can change either of those things by going in there to edit. Let's import a GEDCOM file over here. I'll click on Import Export. Here on this first line it says I can import the file from my computer, or underneath that, if I already have a file in the GEDCOM folder on my website, I could use the select button to pick it from there. Let's find one on my computer. So in the TNG folder, I have a folder called GEDCOMs. I have this one full of data from US presidents, I think up through the first 38 or so. And on this next line, you see the option is here to accept data for all new event types and attributes. TNG will import birth dates, death, marriage, the basic information, but everything else, like occupation, military records, census, anything like that, it ignores unless you tell it to accept that. So you can do it one by one later, or just click this box and now all new event types from your file will automatically be recognized. This other box, if you check that, that imports the event types but not the actual events or any of your other data. So this isn't what you want when you're beginning. Okay, now I have to choose my tree. And if you had more than one tree, that's where you pick another one. If you want to have a second tree you want to add, you can do that here. Otherwise, make sure your destination tree is selected. In the Replace section, you can choose whether this new file will be replacing everything you have, or you can say, well, this is matching records only. Don't replace anything that may already exist, or append. Now, append is a good option if one of your relatives sent you a little file to add to your current database, because the append is going to renumber all the IDs in the incoming file so that you don't clash with your existing data. But since this is a brand new installation, we can safely go with all current data. A few more options you can pick from here. If you have media, you might want to say yes, import the media links. Yes, import any latitude, longitude information, and click Import Data. It'll take a minute to upload the file, depending on how large it is. And then you'll see the progress bar go across in chunks till it's all finished. Yay. Once it's done, you got some other options like you can delete the file now since you don't need it anymore. Or there's some post-import utilities you can look at. Those do such things as sorting or tracking descendancy, various items, or just close the window. Once that's done, we can now go to, say, the public homepage, check on the surnames, and there's everything we just imported. Kennedy, say John Fitzgerald Kennedy. There you have it. It's all there. Again, we can go back to the administration. If I want to change anything on my home page, like put my own title there, click on Setup and then Template Settings. Here's where you'd maybe say, let's say, U.S. Presidents. And this is all just filler text. So put your own paragraph there, etc. When you're done, save it. Go back to the home page. See, now our new title is there. Anyway, there's lots more you can do, but you're pretty much up and running at this point. Thanks for watching.